very, very excited because for those of you who weren't here yesterday, we have Brody Crane all the way from Utah, and Brody has been doing this business since he was in college. He is an absolute dynamo, and he is going to help us learn today about how to take advantage of the Niken Wellness Advantage. Come on up, Brody.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. How's it going?
Good morning.
Everyone get a good night's sleep?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any morning calisthenics? You get it a break, huh? Do we have anybody here who has not experienced Niken Technologies or been to a Niken event before? We've got one here this morning. Wow. Do we have two? There's one over here. Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm trying to figure out what direction to go with my talk this morning, and since you guys are here, I'm going to give it a little bit of a twist. Who here that was at the wellness preview last night, or not at the wellness preview last night, has had a I love Niken experience with these technologies? Just raise your hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Can I get three of you just come up real quick and share what made you fall in love with Niken Technologies? Come on up. I need two more. One more. What made you fall in love with Niken Technologies? Great.
Niken gave me hope when I didn't have hope, to help my son, who was extremely depressed. I had hospitalized my son. The medication he was on, they increased it, and he got more suicidal. So that's what Niken did for me, was give me hope so that I can give my son the want to live.
I'm Sue Kruger from Ohio. Husband and I have been with Niken for about 11 years. We got started because of aches and discomforts and hard time doing my job because my hands didn't want to work right. And we were kind of led to Niken through a series of events and offered our little wrist wrap thing that just slides over your hand and a couple of magnets, you know, the ones that are about the size of a 50-cent piece. And in a couple of days, my hands were feeling better. In a couple of weeks, they were great. And I had been going to my doctor for like 2 years on medication, wearing braces on my wrists and all kinds of things to fix that. And in a couple of weeks, things were working really well. I still wear the wraps and the magnets, and at night, though. I don't have to wear them all day long. I just wear them at night, and my hands are good. And then I wear my bracelet. But it's nice.
Niken actually saved my life. In 1996, I was given a prescription for a wheelchair and told I would never walk normally again. And I got into Niken without ever seeing a product. I bought everything in the catalog. And within 2 years, I was back on my feet and I'm going strong.
Okay, how many of you have had an experience where you hurt, you put some Niken on you, and Niken made it so you didn't hurt anymore? Raise your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had experience where you didn't have energy on a regular basis at some point of time in the day, or long durations of many days in a row, and you got Niken on you, and you weren't hurting anymore? Raise your hand. You had more energy, sorry. Have you had experiences where you've been able to help someone else with these technologies without having to go through a 10-year medical degree? Raise your hand. Have you had experiences where when you went to help that person, they'd already been to someone that had a medical degree and that person couldn't help them and you could? Was that kind of fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really fun. It's fun to have simple solutions that you can use. I mean, what could be more simple than putting a pad on your bed and laying on a special pillow and a blankie? Snoopy, Charlie Brown, Schroeder came around with a blanket, you know that? That was a Niken blanket. Definitely a Niken blanket. The water technology is unbelievable. You're gonna learn a ton about these technologies today. What I'd like to shift to is there's another product that Niken has. It's a product, if you will, that is really important in 5 pillars of health. We talked yesterday about healthy mind, healthy body, healthy family, healthy society, and healthy finances. One more time, that's healthy mind, healthy body, healthy family, healthy society, and healthy finances. And there are two of those pillars that, as I have gone around talking to people over and over and over, there's two of those pillars that come up over and over and over again as being the chief challenges in daily living, the chief stressors, and therefore the chief killers. And one is a healthy body. You ain't got your health, you ain't got nothing. Okay. But the other one, anybody idea what the next one is? Healthy finances. Okay. How many of you know someone whose hip pocket is hurt?
I like that.
How many of you know someone that has tried to put a Band-Aid over their hip pocket by getting an extra part-time job, only to find out that caused more stress and more challenges? Raise your hand if you've seen that one go on. But there's a lot of things that go on in that category, and how many know people that have, my brother growing up, he had a friend that he got a job, young, milking cows. Now, it wasn't just milking cows that he had to do, he had to shovel a lot of stuff, okay? And you should have heard him talking about how much he loved his job, not. But I'll never forget one day when he was talking to my brother, he said, hey, they've got an opening there. You should come and work with me. That way we can both have fun being miserable together. And yet, how many people do you know that that's kind of exactly how they determined how they were going to go to work for the rest of their life? There's a lot of people who don't really enjoy what they do, and healthy finances, I believe that there are sick ways to make money. There are sick ways to make money. Ways that are stressful. Okay? We choose a job that doesn't provide enough. We choose a job that we don't like who we work with. We choose a job that, am I making sense here? Yeah. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk about a few key factors. If someone chose to do something with me, they're going to make a huge difference. 5 key areas that I believe are principles that can bring success, not only in this, but in many endeavors that we choose to do in life. 5 key success factors. Number 1 is personal growth. All too often, we have people that you may have celebrated when you graduated from high school thinking, wow, I'll never have to read another book again. Is that a good mental attitude for personal development? No. In fact, a lot of times that can damn us. To be damned is to be stopped. We stop in our personal progression in some way. Now, personal growth is a really, really important thing. And in order to be successful at this in many aspects in life, we need to become masters of this. And one, I think a huge key factor is to be willing to understand that where we're at, no matter how great you are in your life, maybe is not as good as you could become. Is that true? To accept that there's space for improvement. All in favor and believe that they can improve a little, say aye. Aye. Okay. So this personal growth thing is figuring out what you want to, the first step of it, what you want to become. Where are you deficient? Have you ever been guilty of complaining? Anybody? Nobody in this room, right? No. Is that a really great attribute? Is that something that you want your friends to remember you for? No. Have you ever been guilty of not doing something because you were afraid you might look foolish doing it? Anybody ever done that? Is that a really good attribute that you want to keep in your life? Is that going to allow a lot of development? I was afraid of talking to groups, talking to people, of making mistakes. I was afraid of a lot of different things I think are very common for many of us. So personal growth, just some real key things I'd like to share in that category. Number 1, you got to make a decision to do it. The very first thing that I heard in one of my very first meetings in Weekend was the person you're going to be 5 years from now depends upon the books that you read. Are you reading books?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a regular part of your daily routine, no matter what your profession is? Are you doing it to become an expert in your field? 5 years of regular daily study, and you will become one of the national, possibly world experts in your field. Just read a little bit every day. Okay? Are you reading? Now, are you reading things that are going to make you better in your field and a better you, a better person? Because there's a lot of stuff out there that would tear us down and teach us how. I mean, you guys ever watched a TV show that really inspired you to, I mean, most of the sitcoms and everything out there teach you how to put other people down, how to cheat other people, how to, you know what I'm saying?
Kill.
How to kill other people, how to rob a bank. We've got it all figured out now. But are you doing stuff that helps you become and inspires you to become a better person? So it depends on the books you read. What else? People you hang out with. Now this is a hard one. This was a really hard one for me. Because my friends are my friends, and I didn't want to abandon them and all that type of stuff. But the person you will become depends upon the 5 closest friends you've got. You're going to become the average of your 5 closest friends in almost all attributes. You hang around them long enough. 10 now? She's killing me. You're going to become the average of your 5 closest friends. Take their income, add it up, divide it by 5, poof, there's your income. Take their social influence, add it up, poof, there's it. Divided by 5, there's your social influence. And we go on and on and on with this. But the way they talk is going to end up being what? The way you talk. The types of trips they go on is going to end up being what? Types of trips you go on. And so sometimes if we want to have, and it's not about abandoning that old game, but if we want to change who we are and what we do, we may have to begin associating ourselves with a different group of people. A group of people who have some of the skills that we want to have. So I remember my first NECAN meetings thinking, man, I want to be able to talk like that dude. Man, I want to be able to, I'd like to have the check that she has. I'd like to be able to help people like he does. I'd like to not be afraid. And so then I had to start hanging around with people that what? That were good in those areas. And then to believe that the Almighty Creator made it possible for me to attain skills and attributes that I don't have currently. Fair enough? That if I wanted to learn to talk to people, was that possible? If I wanted to, you can take any skill set. If I want to learn how to have better time management, I could learn that, or all those types of things. So personal growth. What are you doing for personal growth? Have you decided areas to work on? Another thing that you need to do to become really successful is to become really good. Some people think that the next most important thing is how to explain these products. I would say the next most important thing is really good at how to make friends. And developing relationships, regardless of whether they purchase a product or not. How many of you like to have a whole bunch of friends when you leave this world? All in favor say aye. Yeah. Everybody that you meet, wouldn't it be neat if you could find a way to call them a friend? In fact, Will Rogers said a stranger is simply a friend you haven't met yet. Are you going out of your way to meet people and make some meaningful relationships? And in the process of becoming a really good friend, of course, to become a really good friend, you would be going out of your way to do things for them, discover things about them. Yes? Too many people are, when it comes to conversations, we are naturally self-absorbed. Who's the most interesting person in our lives? Us.
Yeah.
And one of the key secrets I've learned about making friends and developing relationships is learning how not to talk about me. learning learning how not to think of me, learning not to think of what my response is going to be, but learning to think of what more can I learn? Tell me more. Tell me more. What else? How did that make you feel? What did that make you? Am I making sense here? And the more you become interested in other people, the more you will learn. It's just amazing what happens in that category. I would say this is one of the biggest skill sets for success in life. Would you agree?
Yes.
Huge. And certainly in this business, a network business. And I love reading John K. Lynch's book. If you have not read it, if you're new, if you're considering weekend as a type of career, whether it be part-time or would like it to replace your full-time, or if you want to create an empire. This concept right here is absolutely huge, and it was very well laid out in John K. Lynch's book, Being the Best You Can Be in MLM. Write that down. Being the Best You Can Be in MLM by John K. Lynch. The next thing. That is really important in this business is this concept of attraction. Concept of attraction. What do you want to attract in your life? Now, part of that has to do with the radar that you send out. What are you giving to other people? What are you talking about? Are you complaining a lot? If you complain a lot, you're going to attract more what? Complainers. You're giving more positive information out, choosing to be positive, choosing to be proactive. You're going to attract more people in that kind of category. But I also want you to think real quick about what it is you're looking to attract in your Niken business. Some of you think that what you're looking to attract is just a bunch of people who want to buy your product, customers. Now, who here would like a lot of customers in the business? Say aye.
Aye.
Absolutely. We'd all love that for a multitude of reasons. Okay, it feels good to help people. It's awesome to see people's lives transform. These products are unbelievable, unstoppable. And we have, I think, a moral obligation to get them out. But if that is what you are looking to attract, is just a bunch of customers into your business, you are not going to create reproductive residual income. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what else do you want to attract in this business? A business builder, a business partner. So if you talk about the business, you're going to find people who want to do the business. But that's only tier 2. Because if I get started with this business and I sign up Barb and she just goes out and tells a bunch of people and she gets a bunch of customers, it still ends where? It ends with Barb. Okay. What you want to talk about is the vision. The vision of what you want to become, the vision of what the company has to offer, the vision of what this could create in their life in terms of freedom. Am I making sense? You're attracting people who are not waiting to be spoon-fed for the rest of their life. You're attracting people who want to go out and become independent Niken consultants, not dependent Niken consultants. You're looking, what is it you're looking to attract? What are you looking for? So when you sit down and you're in a one-on-one presentation, who are you seeing in the seat opposite of you? Are you seeing someone who needs these products? Guess what you're going to get. Are you seeing someone who might be good at sharing these products with their neighbor? Then that's what you're going to get. Are you seeing someone who is an inspirational, visionary, absolutely fantastic person that may be burdened with a few things in their life right now, but if they understood the freedom and had a little bit of help, and they got the grasp of what Niken could offer, that this could become one of the most powerful, dynamic people on the planet. Who are you sitting next to every time you give a presentation? That's determined by who?
You.
You. Are you going to bring out the product user in them, or are you going to bring out the royal diamond in them? That's determined by who? I believe it's determined by you and what station you are tuned into when you are in that meeting, sitting there talking with them. Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, personal growth, really good. Important, massively important. Getting friends. What you attract, The next thing that's really important as a life skill in this business is what I call tap rooting. And that is, when I got started with this business, here's my mom and dad. And they told me about these products. They even signed me up. I got on a sleep system. My life was totally transformed, but I was not interested in doing this business. I was still in love with and in training with what my wife calls my mistress, the piano over there. Okay, was I excited wanting to go out and build a network marketing business? No. So at my senior recital for my bachelor's degree, at my house, a bunch of people came up. We had a great evening. My parents disappeared, and one of my former roommates and his new wife disappeared. Went to look for them, couldn't find them. Happened an hour later to go down and grab something out of a downstairs bedroom, and there was my dad and my mom and magnets everywhere, spewed across. My friends were not to know that I was using magnets. That was really embarrassing. Okay? And I was just mortified at that experience. But it turned out Katie was in huge need. Autoimmune condition, no help, age 22, could hardly get out of bed every morning. Huge challenges. My parents asked me to loan her one of my sleep systems. They became absolutely excited, on fire, couldn't wait to share this, and so guess who became interested? You. So if you're wondering, as you are getting your new distributors on board, why they're not doing anything, it may be because you have not lit a fire underneath them. Am I making sense? This is a key, an absolute essential key for lighting the fire in your business. Are you actively working to pursue a method and strategy for tap rooting? Does that make sense? Last but not least, vital, essential skill for this business is to learn how to laugh at yourself. Because I guarantee you that you're going to make some mistakes along the way. I guarantee you that you're going to get the wrong eye makeup on the wrong eye, or you're going to put the wrong dress on, or you're going to forget to tuck your shirt in, or you're going to forget to do this, forget to do that. And if you freak out about those things and constantly beat yourself up, you're probably not going to make it more than 2 or 3 days. Am I making sense? This is an absolutely essential skill, not just for this, but for anything in life you want to become successful at. You know, I'll never forget. So when I was at the university and studying piano, I ended up with massive arm problems. It was one of the reasons we used these products to be able to try to get rid of tendonitis issues that were in my arms. Wrapped myself with magnetics and far infrared and all that type of stuff. It was before NECAN when I had an attack of this tendonitis thing going on, where I couldn't play. But one of the studios where I was accompanying a voice student, the teacher there said, "Why don't you come and take a voice lesson?" I don't sing. I don't sing. I said, "No, come on over." I have no idea why I showed up, but I showed up. I had an absolute blast, And one of the things that he taught me, somehow, without saying it, was how to laugh at myself. And I fell in love with laughing at how terrible I was, and I enjoyed the experience. And I came back the next week. I learned to laugh some more and have some fun. And I came back the next week. I was bad. I was so bad. It took me 3 years to learn how to sing without cracking. Like in almost any given song, voice crack, and you feel really silly and all that type of stuff. And in the middle of that, I found myself auditioning. I auditioned for a Model the Tailors with the role that I got in Fiddler on the Roof. And then I found out something not so good. They were performing it at the L. Eccles Theater that seated over 1,100 people. And they were sold out. And then I found myself in the 4th run of that play. If you know the song, it doesn't start in the tonic, it doesn't start in the dominant, it starts in the 2nd degree of the scale. It's hard to hear, it's a little bit different, his solo, and I started on the wrong pitch and couldn't find it for the whole rest of that performance. So that's the four. I mean, I did really good on 1, 2, 3, and those were great. The fourth one was a total disaster, and that happened to be the night when some really important people were there in my life. And usually when you get done after your solo, you come down, everyone's giving you high fives and all that good stuff. And I get done and I come to the back and the halls are empty. And I thought I was going to die. I thought that had ruined everything for the rest of my life. I mean, you play these movies in your head about how awful that was. But guess what? I woke up the next day. I didn't die. And ended up with some really great friends who said, great job, keep going. Had a great performance the next night. And the directors of the theater department actually cast me in another show. I didn't die. But I really wanted to quit that night. And if you don't learn to laugh at yourself and keep stepping forward, then you're going to keep yourselves from a lot of really incredible, great things in your life. Thank you for being here.
When I was about 10, I was one of the salespeople in A Christmas Carol. Do you remember the two salespeople? Or they're not salespeople, they're trying to collect charity from Scrooge. And I had long dark hair then. And so they powdered me up. So I looked like an old man, right? I was 12. And, and so all the parents were there, and I had this one little tiny part. So I walked on and said my lines, and as I walked off, I was supposed to be all upset because Scrooge wouldn't give us any money, right? So I put my hat on my head, and all this powder came out. The whole audience went into laughter. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, what did I do wrong? They're all laughing at me. It ruined my life for years. My mom did say, oh, it's all right, it's all right. They were just laughing at the powder, not at you. And but I could not recite poetry. I couldn't do anything in front of a class for years. And when I went to law school, I was supposed to do an argument in one of our trial courses, and I had a partner, and I'd written unfortunately, I'd written a really great brief. So I had extra audience who wanted to hear me give my oral argument, right? I froze. I had no idea what was in my mind. It was actually, I learned later, of magnesium deficiency. But anyhow, I had, he kicked me under the table and said, I'll take it from here. Now, he'd written a terrible brief. Nobody expected anything of him. And he just stood up and gave a wonderful argument. Anyhow, 5 years later, after I'd been in law practice and done some cases and shook in my boots, I actually was asked to speak at the Late Show League meeting for breastfeeding. And that's when I discovered I actually had a voice. When I was passionate about something, nothing could stop me. And that's the real message I want to give you. When Nikan gets into you, you'll have no problem sharing it. It's truly amazing. So this is about the impact on family. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my family. Like I told you, I started nutrition in the 70s. We had no complaints. Everything was good. And I was always about prevention. One of my high school math teachers said that the best mathematicians are the lazy ones because they look for the shortest way to get to an answer or a proof. And I thought, wow, that's a philosophy of life. Let's just prevent problems. Let's do things the easy way. Let's learn from other people's experiences. So that's why I studied how to stay healthy. And in 1997, we had no complaints. My son was 19, my daughter was 17. They'd never had a drug in their life, never had a prescription. And so I did, no, my daughter did have antibiotics when she was first born. There was an issue, and that's how I discovered the yeast problem. So that was actually a gift. But since then, nobody had ever had a drug. We didn't need them. And so when I discovered Nikan, I just wanted to do something preventive to extend our lives maybe, and help others. So I was looking for a business as well. And what I found was that the first thing I noticed after the first night on the sleep system, I didn't get tired swimming. I swim every morning. And I was like, I didn't get tired. I asked my husband, what kind of rain fell last night? Because the water is not resisting me. I'm just swimming. I could swim all day if I had time. And before I would get tired halfway through and I would go 15 more lengths. But no, I was just having a ball. And then when I was running, I noticed my muscles didn't get tired. And that made a huge difference because I could run as long as I wanted. And the other thing was climbing stairs. My mom had always been a little shaky on the stairs, and I thought, well, I inherited that. When she put the insoles in her shoes, she climbed the stairs no problem. And same thing for me. First time I had the insoles on, I'm like, wow, I can just keep climbing. It's just been on steeples in Europe and just kept going. So those were little things, and I thought if it can change my life when I didn't have any complaints, what about people that actually have complaints? So I was really excited about building a business. But the big change for my family, what really impacted my family was my husband. He had had asthma as a child, and he actually didn't have to go to Vietnam because they didn't want him in the army because he had asthma. And when we changed our nutrition in the early 70s, he felt he got rid of all his symptoms except he still had inflammation in his nose area, and he never used his handsome nose. He breathed through his mouth. So that affected me at night when I was trying to do my quiet yoga, focus on my breathing. I'd hear his breathing. He didn't ever snore, but sometimes he sounded like Darth Vader. After about a month on the sleep system, he woke up with his mouth closed. And he couldn't believe it. He'd never woken up with his mouth closed. And for a couple of weeks after that, he'd be so quiet, I would go over and check his chest was going up and down. Because I thought, well, maybe he's dead. But he was so excited. He got fewer colds because our nose is our first filter. And so that affected the whole family. He got sick less often. And neither of us has had a cold in 20 years. In fact, yesterday was my 20th anniversary with Nikan. So very exciting. And so we're both lawyers, but I let my husband forge my name to sign my application because I was at a writing conference, and my sponsor was very smart. He said, he gave me 2 sleep systems, the demo systems, because he wasn't really building, and when I got excited about it, he said, take 2 to your writing conference. You sleep on one and loan the other one out, which is what I did. And I got 2 people who wanted to buy the sleep system. So I called the guy who told me about it. I said, don't I have to sign something to sell this stuff? And so my husband went over to the guy's house and signed our application. So those were my first 2 people. And talk about families. The one woman, this was a writers' conference for women from New York City. So have you ever heard of stress? Women writers in New York City make no money. Many of them are single moms. And the one was on the move all the time because her daughter was being stalked by her former husband. And she said she hadn't slept in 9 months. And I'm gonna cry, sorry. But after I put her on the sleep system, she said it was the first time she slept in 9 months. And she said it changed her life completely. She had hope. I talked about hope yesterday. She had hope that she and her daughter could get through this period when they were trying to get the law to stop the dangerous husband. So that's the kind of thing we can do for people. And I saw her at a later writers' conference, and she said, that changed my life. That day changed my life. That sleep system changed our lives by giving her hope. And I love that the Gospel of Luke is all about hope and healing. I have a master's in theology. And so the hope and healing, that is really what Deacon is about. And it's not like you have to be sick to heal. You are healing every day and every night, as it was covered so well and will be covered later by Lisa. We heal every day from the stresses of the night with Nikan. And if we don't, our body deteriorates, the stress builds up, the acid builds up, and it affects the entire family. If you have people coming home from work and the kids coming home from school and nobody's gotten their sleep, how's the evening go? There's grumping about homework. Nobody really wants to eat dinner. They just want a snack. And when I was counseling families through the 90s and early 2000s and late 80s actually, it affected so many families that I started. That's why basic needs is so important. What I found, 90% of all the stress, the irritability, the cranking, the lack of cooperation, the abstinence or obstinacy, was because people weren't having breakfast. They weren't sleeping. They weren't getting to bed. They weren't playing outside. They weren't giving each other hugs. Very, very simple things. And one family I worked closely with, two brilliant college professors. They had two boys that were just failing in school, always getting into trouble, and worked with them a lot. And everybody brought their kids to me to get fixed. And I'd talk to the kids for 10 minutes, and then I'd bring in the parents and send the kids out to play, because it's always about the parents, unless the kids have some actual physical or mental disability. And so I went over them with their lifestyle, and the mom had a big complaint. I said, well, these kids need a good breakfast. They need to eat. They need to sleep. And she said, I can't get them to eat normally. And I got this light bulb that I said, well, have they ever seen you eat? Are you setting an example? And she's like, well, no, I've never seen them eat. They've never seen me eat a meal in years. She said, I eat breakfast after they go to school. I eat dinner after they go to bed. That's my time for myself. I eat popcorn in bed at night, and my husband hates it. So I said, well, let's find some time where they can see you eat a normal meal. And she said, there's no time. They're going to soccer, they're going to, ice skating, they're studying, and I need my time by myself to eat. And I said, well, let's go through the week and find a couple of times when all four of you can eat together. And so I brought the kids back in, we sat down, went through the whole week. We found Tuesday night and Sunday morning. And she said, well, Sunday morning will never work because everybody always wants different things and everybody fights, and the dad gets excited, gets upset that the kids are eating his snacks and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, let's work that out right now. So they started having meals together on Tuesday nights and Sunday mornings. And it changed everything. They actually got to talk like real people. And we know, as anthropology has proven, that one of the unique things about humans is that we eat together. It's a community thing. So having and talking together, how was your day? Or what does your day look like? Or what are you looking forward to? So breakfast, we love the KBB because it can have a quick breakfast, but do it together if at all possible. And set an example for the kids. And same with dinner, the whole thing is, you take everybody to McDonald's and then you go to the soccer practice. Try to have some real meals together. And have a routine. It is so important for a family to have a routine that's reliable. That the kids can look forward to mom and dad just sitting down and smiling, laughing. Everybody's point was so great, laughing. And it makes all the difference for families to just take care of their basic physical needs. And it's a real disaster in today's America with so much stress, everybody having extra jobs. Very few families really get to enjoy each other. And that relationship thing of feeling worthy and meaningful to others starts in the home. It's really important. So I'm going to share a few slides and a few more stories. So next slide, please. This is the basic needs from my book, The 7 Secrets of Successful Parents. And this was my third parenting book, which I wrote after I found Niken. I did add Niken into one of the edition of my earlier parenting books too, because it's critical. But physical needs: sleep, food, light, air, water, and comfort. And I go into a lot of detail about how to create those things for the kids. But obviously, as you can tell, so much of it, Niken gets you, 99% there. And then the relationship needs are really important too. Feeling secure, having enough space, getting out in nature, which again, Niken helps us. 95% of our day is spent indoors, but we can feel like we're in nature. I know a psychiatrist who was in Niken, and he said it was like you were walking in the park all the time, even if you were in the law office on the 17th floor. Companionship, well, all of you here today know how beautiful that is to have companionship. Maybe a sibling, and maybe a Niken colleague, anybody. Thank you. And activity, moving, having something to do. I always laugh when I drive by the fitness center because everybody's doing their spinning, and it's a beautiful, gorgeous day. They could be walking among the trees and or out gardening or something. And affection, of course. Love is everything. Next slide, please. So family arrangements have changed so much, and we spend very little time appreciating how many families both parents are working, or it's a single mom or a single dad, or the kids are going back and forth between a number of houses. It's absolutely astonishing the changes that have happened since people my age, 69, were little kids. My daughter said she was the only one in her dance class who had both natural parents living together, married in her home. And it was the opposite. When I was in school, my class, the one little girl got divorced, and I'm like, whoa, what happened to her? So next slide, please. So this is very interesting because the less education, the harder it is. It's a vicious circle that the less education, the more stress, the more jobs, and the more divorces, and the harder it is on the kids. Next slide, please. In nearly half of two-parent households, both mom and dad work full-time. That's an incredible change in the last 50 years. Incredible. Next slide, please. More full-time working moms say they always feel rushed and spend too little time with their kids than people who work part-time. And next slide, please. Among full-time working parents, more dads say they don't spend enough time with their kids than moms do. So there's huge stress. And of course, we talk a lot about life and work balance, and family and work balance. Next slide, please. But the answer is the 5 pillars of health. And it's an amazing gift that Niken has, not only for the physical health and the mental health, which can come from the physical health, but also the business. And one of my most exciting things about Niken is that when I was counseling families, the biggest stress was financial. And I couldn't raise my fees because then they'd say, no, can't afford you. So to be able to give people a home business where they don't have to sacrifice their time with their kids is truly amazing. And that's what I fell in love with when I saw the 5 pillars. And like when we left law practice to focus on family and health, I thought I gave up the big finances. But you can be as wealthy as you want to be as long as you're willing to do the work and love people and get out there. So I think I have another slide. Do I? Yes. Okay, the difference for families. You get healthier. Your parents are healthier. Your children are healthier. Your grandparents are healthier. They can help you out when you need it. There's healthier attitudes, healthy behavior. The kids do better in school. They get sleep and breakfast. And the parents are more friendly when they get home. More energy and less fatigue for everybody. Easier bedtimes, easier meal times, better mental factors for house management and homework, as well as the business. So it affects everything and how you relate to each other. It's truly amazing. And what the business does for the family. Extra income, less stress, more time for spouse and kids, more shared experiences because the whole family gets involved. You know, if somebody hurts themselves, it's like, okay, I'll roll your back for you. My daughter came home from dance and she had a particularly difficult practice. She would ask me to give her a rollout before she went to sleep. She twisted her ankle one time and all her friends said, oh, we'll see you next week. Well, she was back in 3 days because we put a wrap and she was on her sleep system. When she had her wisdom teeth pulled out, everybody said, oh, you look like a chipmunk for a week. She was at the mall the next day because she put a little power chip in. Slept 9 hours, got up, went to the mall. Community, people feel worthy and helpful. You had more time for aging parents. It was amazing when my mother's last 6 months were difficult, but I was able to spend a great deal of time with her. More control over your daily schedule, that can be really important. And of course, more freedom to be with family, especially for vacations. I think there's one more. That's the last one? Okay, well, the 5 pillars of health. Share it. It's a savior for American families. Thank you.
Thank you. So just a quick check. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah? Now, if I share a slide on the screen, will you be able to see it okay as well? Can everyone see me?
Hold on, we're having some technical difficulties. 1 second.
No worries.
All right.
Ah, there we go. Excellent. Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be with everyone today. And I love the fact that we can all connect internationally like this and be a part of this special meeting, whether we're there in person, in a neighboring state, or maybe even on the other side of the pond like I am. Like Kimball said, I've got the opportunity to share with you today some of the benefits of being able to build a home-based business and the benefits that that has on family life. She mentioned I've got a large family. My wife and I are the parents of 7 children. We've got 6 boys and 1 girl. And so the benefit of being a stay-at-home dad and being able to work from home, I think, is something really precious. I want to begin, though, by sharing, there's always pros and cons to everything, isn't there? So I want to begin by sharing one of the disadvantages of being a work-from-home, stay-at-home network marketing full-time professional. As we speak right now, my wife has taken our daughter to California for her 13th birthday. And they're overseas there for a week, enjoying a wonderful time. And what does that mean for me? It means that I'm at home by myself with 6 boys for an entire week. If I was working in the office, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd need to take a week off of work and have a week's holiday where my wife could be away. And we've never done that before. And I guess that's a great advantage for my wife, not so much an advantage for me. But nonetheless, I think we're having a great time together, the boys and I. And fingers crossed, they'll stay quiet during the course of my presentation with you today. So I wanted to touch on some of the things that I think are really, really unique about Nikken. I want to share a slide with you now, just for a visual example of something that I think makes us unique. But perhaps before I do that, I want to share a story that I think is really helpful in giving some context to what it means to have your own business. This story is actually, or this example perhaps, is taken from Charles Dickens. We've all heard the Christmas Carol. We often read it together at Christmas time, or maybe we watch the film over the Christmas season. It's famous because of one of its famous characters, Ebenezer Scrooge, a miserly old man that no one in his circle of influence warmed to at all. He was a miserable miser. He overworked his staff, he underpaid them, and all he was interested in really was himself and how much money he could make. Life was pretty miserable, though he didn't realize it. That was the interesting thing. He didn't necessarily see just how rotten life had become for himself. So, of course, on that one particular Christmas Eve, he gets visited by three ghosts. The ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. And during the course of this evening, what happens is, as we all know, is the ghost of Christmas past shows him how rubbish life has been for him. He hadn't seen it before, but with this perspective that the ghost gave, he could realize that he'd made some bad choices and his past was pretty rubbish. Along comes the ghost of Christmas present and shows him just how unloved and unliked he is because of the choices that he's made. And as a result, he sees that his present is pretty rubbish too. Then along comes the ghost of Christmas future and shows him that if things don't change, and his future is going to look pretty rubbish as well. Well, what's the consequence of all this? The consequence is remarkable. We see a completely changed man come Christmas morning. And out he goes. He wants to get this young boy to buy the biggest Christmas turkey that's available. And he's wanting to celebrate as much as he can. And all of a sudden he's changed. And the story is obviously a feel-good story for Christmas, but it also has become a lesson for psychologists. And also for business leaders around the world in recognizing just how fast people can change if they have what we know as the right leverage. This has become known as the Dickens process for psychologists. What they've done is they've identified that when we are uncomfortable with our circumstances, we change time zones. Meaning, if I'm not too pleased with the present, what will I do? I'll tend to live in the past. Or I might jump into the future. I might decide to look back on the good old days. Wasn't it good when we had this, that, or the other? And I'll kind of move time zones and live there. Or I might jump into the future and go, it's all right right now. I know it sucks right now, but things will be better when this happens in the future. But when we can't change time zones, when we can't jump into the past, when we can't jump into the future, and when we're dissatisfied with the present sufficiently, then all of a sudden we're in a position where change becomes necessary. It's interesting that, isn't it? I wonder how many of us, if we were to truly examine with an honest perspective some of the choices we've made in the past, maybe the consequences of those choices from a commercial perspective, from a career perspective, from a family perspective, some of the consequences now, and then maybe look at what would happen if I don't change anything and move into the future. What would we be wanting to do? Would we be willing to change? Would we need to change something? I believe that the vast majority of us would recognize something's got to change. I'm grateful that for me, my wife and I made that change a couple of years ago. We'd worked in the network marketing industry most of my career, and it has served me very well. As an employee of Nikken, I've traveled to close to 30 countries around the world. And for sometimes I would be away a week or more at a time whilst I was conducting my business. What I'm experiencing now, staying at home with 6 kids for a week by myself while my wife's away, she'd actually experienced for decades. When I was the managing director of a European region, I was traveling at least once a week for most weeks of the month, for most months of the year, year after year after year. I had a job that paid me well, that provided very nicely for my family, but my family and I were continually making sacrifices in order to see these needs met. What I find now in NECAN is I get to enjoy the best of both worlds. My wife and I, whilst my wife is enjoying a break right now, this is the first time that she's been able to sit back and actually have a holiday where she's been able to have time out for herself. And I'm really grateful. I know I joke about me pulling my hair out at home with 6 boys by myself, but what a grateful situation I feel that we're in right now, where she can go and have a break and I can stay at home and look after the kids while she does some rest and relaxation. I'm really pleased that she can do that, take the time out. Oh, and by the way, on Monday, she is catching up with some members of our team in Southern California and doing some one-on-ones and some meetings while she's there. We had a holiday just a couple of weeks ago in Florida where we all went away together. My wife and I, the 7 children, we even brought our in-laws with us. And we got to spend some wonderful time vacationing together. And I was also able to turn that into a little bit of a opportunity to connect with my work colleagues, some business partners, and I did some meetings in Orlando, drove down to Miami for a couple of days, and was able to spend some time there as well. It's wonderful that we can literally travel anywhere in the world and do business together. I think that's a great privilege that we have in NECAN. I want to share with you something that I think makes it very, very unique. I'll share this slide with you now. And for those of you that are already in my team, you'll have seen this slide before. What you see here is a beautiful picture of a wonderful forest of aspen trees. Now, the question here is going to obviously help you appreciate that it's a trick question. If I was to ask you, how many trees do you see in this picture, what would your answer be? Now, obviously, I'm not going to expect you to count it, and we can't see all the trees that represent the forest. So clearly, this is a trick question. So what is the answer? The answer is, interestingly, what you see is one tree. It's a single tree. In fact, this pando tree has been recognized as the largest living organism on Earth. Many of us might have thought that it was one of the biggest species of whales that might be out there in the ocean somewhere. But in fact, it is this pando tree. What we see is one forest made from a single tree that all share the same root system. Isn't that fascinating? What we see is a tree that actually covers over 100 acres of land, one single tree, and it all shares the same root system. There are literally thousands upon thousands of these stems that all look like individual trees. The weight of the organism is believed to be over 6 million kilograms in weight, and it's believed to be over 80,000 years old. I find that remarkable, don't you? Now, why do I share this? What's this got to do with NECAN and a home-based business, or being able to work from home as a father or a mother? Well, this is what it's got to do. I think there's something to learn from this. Clearly, the fact that this tree is so well networked together with the single root system, it's allowed it to live longer than anything else on Earth. It's also allowed it to grow bigger than anything else on Earth that is living. I think that's remarkable, and I think it teaches us something about what NECAN has adapted into its business model. If you were brand new to NECAN, if you made the choice today to say, I'm going to start my own home-based business, and I'm going to start this business with NECAN. It looks fun, it looks like it's a good team to be a part of, I'm going to give this a go. If you were to do that, you might feel like an incredibly inexperienced business owner. You've just gotten started. You've got maybe just a few minutes or a few hours of experience. You might feel like one of those single stems of those trees amongst a forest, surrounded by something that is big, but feeling perhaps the vulnerability of being a single stem. But the reality is, what we love at Niken is something wonderfully unique. What we have is the chance to be connected with people all around the world that have got years and years of experience with Niken that are all a part of your root system. Whether you're brand new in the business or whether you've been around for a few years, what you have is a root system with Niken that connects you to people, that gives you decades upon decades of experience on how to build a successful home-based business. For me, I find that both wonderful and remarkable. I have found that the greatest asset of my business is the friendships that I have all around the world where we partner together to support each other. I love that. I have found that wherever we are, we always tend to want to attract or be around other people. One of the subjects I studied at university many years ago was social anthropology. And we would often explore and compare and contrast different cultures and communities around the world with each other. And what we identified really was whether we are a remote pygmy tribe in the center of Africa, or whether we're an established industrial community out in one of the big cities somewhere in the Western Hemisphere. What we all have in common is that everywhere around the world, we want to be with other people. We aren't islands where we want to be alone. And the great thing about Niken is not only do you get to work for yourself, but you get to be a part of a community that is far bigger than you are. And that brings with it a great sense of purpose, a great sense of meaning, and a great sense of value. Research has proven time and time again that in order to find a sense of purpose and meaning in our lives, we need to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. We need to have a cause that is bigger than us. It's been said many times that if you pursue success, it evades you. Success ensues versus being something we pursue. And likewise with happiness. Happiness is something that ensues versus something we pursue. If we pursue happiness or success, it often evades us. We often find it isn't where we chase it. But if we do the right things, if we become the right person, then happiness and success follow. And I've certainly found that in my home life as a husband and a father, and I've certainly found that in my business experience with Niken as well. So if you're looking for something that will allow you to be a devoted husband and father, or a devoted wife and mother, or whatever our family represents itself as in our home life, whatever that looks like for each of us, if we want to do our best there, because I believe that the most important responsibilities we have in life lie within the four walls of our own homes. And if we want to serve those responsibilities well, if we want to do the best we can within those four walls, then we have some choices to make. And those choices are often around how we choose to spend our time. I find many people that I speak to feel obliged to choose between making a difference or making a living. Some people find that it's one or the other. What I have found in building a business with Niken is that I get to do both. I get to make a difference and I get to make a living. And the great thing is the difference that I make is with my team members, but most importantly, it's with my family. For me, it's my family that matters most. And the chance to be available and around with my children to do the school runs, to be around to make dinner and to give my wife a break, to be around so that she can take a holiday with my daughter to celebrate her 13th birthday, and for me to be home so she can do that and have a breather is a great reward. It gives us a chance to make things, the most important things, the center of our lives. So my invitation to each of you is to take some time out to reflect upon that Dickens principle or process. Evaluate the different time zones of your life, past, present, and future. Where are they taking you? Are they helping you to prioritize? Do you feel, like many people, trapped in making a choice, one over the other, making a difference or making a living? Do you feel like you've got to compromise one for the sake of the other? Hopefully, as you've been a part of this event today and yesterday, you're seeing that you don't need to make that compromise, that you can look into the future and in fact find some happy consequences, some chances where you get to get a balance and have the best of both, make a difference, make a living, and really get to enjoy the things that matter most with your family. So that's my invitation to each of you, to take a look, have a serious consideration, and know this, that when you team up with people in Nikan, you are like a beautiful stem in one of these beautiful trees, this pando tree forest, where you get to be a part of a network that has your back, is there to help you every step of the way, to answer your questions, to team up with you, and help you have a wonderful experience. Nikan is the business equivalent of the pando tree. So thank you very much. I'm going to pass the time back to Kimball, and I wish you all the best.
Would you agree that health and finances are two of the most important aspects for a quality life?
Yes.
Okay, then would it be okay if I would help you become healthier and wealthier?
Yes.
What if you spent less money on drugs and doctors? What if you missed less days of work? Some of you may want to miss days of work. Maybe that's why some of you are here. What if you had more energy to do the things you love? What if there was a low-cost way to improve every aspect of your health? That substance is water. Today I'm going to address three things. Why water is important, how much should you drink, and which water to use. I believe that water is the best doctor you could ever go to. If you go to your doctor because you're dehydrated, what will you likely get?
A pill.
A drug? Have you seen the commercials? Do you watch TV? Have you seen the commercials with all the side effects? Have you seen the lawyer commercials helping you sue the drug companies for all those side effects? Water's, Dr. Batman Gillich wrote the book, Bodies Many Cries for Water, and I highly recommend this book. In this book, he talks about how the medical profession is treating dehydration with medications. Medications have side effects. Friends, I want to help you avoid all that. They keep you out of the medical system, which I worked in for 20 years. Water affects your skin health, acid reflux, and actually Dr. Oz has talked about alkaline water helping acid reflux, and I've helped several people with our water system avoid that. And then you take an antacid, which then blocks your absorption of minerals, and you end up with osteoporosis, and then they give you an osteoporosis drug, and then it causes esophageal problems. And there's one medical doctor said, this is crazy. So water's important in temperature regulation and basically every aspect of your health. So if let's talk about the quantity of water. Thirst can be used. If you're thirsty, drink water, but thirst is not the most reliable, especially as you age, or if you're so used to being dehydrated, you may not even recognize when you need water. In his book, Dr. Batman recommends that you drink 1/2 ounce of water for every pound of body weight. Now, guys, do not ask a woman how much water they should be drinking. That's not right. Other things that affect your how much water you should drink is your environment and your diet. If you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, that does contribute to the water intake. If you're in a hot environment or you're doing a lot of activity, you're going to need to increase your water. So one of the best ways to tell is through your urine. If it's dark yellow, you're dehydrated. If it's light, you're right. So that's a good way to tell how well you're doing with your water intake. Now to the quality of water. Now the water is the most abundant substance in our body, so if you have a building material, wouldn't it be important for that to be of high quality? So what are the ways we can get water? Well, we have tap water. Tap water is readily available. We're lucky in America because water is easy to find. But what about quality? Most municipal water supplies are treated with chlorine or chloramine. Chlorine is a carcinogen. And they put that in there to kill the bacteria. It works. But where did the bacteria go? They don't filter those out, so your body's still getting, even though it's dead, your body's still getting it. Wouldn't it be nice not to have to drink that? The chlorine also kills all bacteria. It's an antibiotic, so it kills the intestinal flora in your stomach. Now, if you've heard all about probiotics lately, how popular that is, if you're spending money on probiotics and some of them aren't cheap, luckily we get them in our Vital Balance, you're killing them when you drink tap water. Tap water can have lead. It can have any number of contaminants. Think about Flint, Michigan, and what the devastation that's going to have on those people. If they had a way to avoid that, that would be great. The other thing is that they're finding in water is pharmaceuticals. I can promise you, I don't need birth control pills. I don't need to be drinking any of that. So the tap water has its own problems and is controlled by the government. They never make mistakes, right? So you're taking a risk if you're doing that. So a lot of people say, well, okay, then I'm going to go to bottled water. Well, let's talk about bottled water. They had thousands of people, I think it was in France or Spain, in 2016, this is not something that happened way in the past, get sick. They have said it, as much as 25% of bottled water is contaminated. Then we have the plastic leaching in and the landfill problems. All these bottles are going into landfills and we're transporting them by truck, people are carrying them home by their car. It's a lot of work for expensive water that's not even good. And most bottled water is just tap water filtered. And one of the gentlemen used to talk about how he wanted to get in the bottled water business, and they said, he went to the government and said, what do I have to do? He says, well, you just have to have clean bottles and an approved source. So there's not much regulation on bottled water. So you're really taking your chances with that as well. And because they filter it out, they usually the water is very acidic. You know about pH, it's important for water to be alkaline. So bottled water is not a good choice either. In fact, I'm going to pass this around. You can look at here it talks about 24,500 chemicals found in bottled water. Take a look at those. So bottled water is not the choice. So where do we get our water? Well, I believe the best way to get water is to have a filtration system at the end of use from your tap. You have the water is disinfected, but you need to remove the chlorine, you need to remove all the contaminants that are in there. So the question then is, which filter to get? Well, you have, one thing you want to look for, does it have third-party verification, NSFs, National Sanitation Foundation. Is it verified that it does what it says it's going to do? Okay, taking out the bad contaminants in the water is important, but so is putting back in the minerals that bring the pH of the water up. And I believe the best water system out there is the waterfall. The waterfall is like a spring. In fact, have any of you ever drank from a mountain spring? I'm not talking about a bottle water with a picture of a spring on it, but an actual mountain spring. My family owns a log cabin up above State College in Pennsylvania, and before we got sophisticated and got water in our cabin, we had to drive quite a distance to go to the spring and take big 55-gallon bottles of water, because that was our water for drinking, washing the dishes. We had a nature shower. It wasn't heated. We've had people take showers in the wintertime. But when I would be assigned to the detail to go get that water, I would love to stop and put my hands and drink that water. It was so cold and refreshing, and I just loved the taste. But what if you had a spring in your home? What if you had a spring in your home? That's what I believe the waterfall does. The water comes up through the ground, picks up minerals from the stones, has a magnetic field. The waterfall recreates that. And you have control of it. You don't need electricity. You can bring it if you have an emergency, something like that. So that's very important. You can take it in an earthquake or any type of natural disaster. My mom, some of the personal stories I have is my mom's kidney function was 38. We got her on the water, and her kidney function went to 64, and her kidney doctor was going to discharge her as a patient because she was doing so well. So there you're saving money driving to doctors. They don't have to drive her there. And her health is better. Blood sugar, we lowered her blood sugar. My brother did 103 points in a half hour by using the unrefined salt, real salt, and the Nikan water. So it's really a very powerful water for your health. Now I know that one other thing I want to bring up is shower filter. Hang on one second. Anybody know what these are? These are not 3D glasses. These are for viewing the eclipse that's coming. Okay, so a lot of times truth gets blocked by things, and we have assumptions. But when the moon passes the sun, we are going to get down in South Carolina. There's going to be a total block of the sun. And one of the things that I had when I had the shower filter, I heard about showers causing cancer. I said, well, this is crazy. Showers can't cause cancer. And then I realized that the skin is the largest organ in the body, and that we absorb chlorine from the showers. And that same chlorine that's bad by drinking is even worse by shower. It actually affects the intestinal flora, and there's heart disease and everything else caused by that. I love taking a shower now with my Nikan shower. I used to only take a shower about once a week. And I had some young lady ask me, well, how does that work for you with the ladies? And so we're pretty good to about midweek. So the shower filter is very important too. So if you don't have either of those, I recommend that you get with the person who brought you here and get a waterfall and a shower filter. You'll love it. And I know Dr. Melanie Caldwell had a story that she wanted to talk about.
So the one story I want to share about the water is I have several children actually in my practice that have a genetic disorder. It's a blood disorder. It inversely affects African Americans. At any rate, this genetic disorder causes a lot of pain crises, and oftentimes for medical management, what we have available in traditional medicine is pain medicine, and most of these folks need a lot of hydration, and they need to remain hydrated. So I had a young lady with this disorder come into my clinic, and I have the Primeg waterfall in my office, and I sent her home with a gallon of the Primeg water, and within 2 days, the family called and said, I don't know what this water is, but I need this, to buy one of these right away. This little girl used to be back and forth to the hospital every 1 to 2 weeks. The mother would drive her to MCV to get IV hydration, because that's all medicine has to offer. She was also on morphine at 6 years old. That was a year and a half ago. Since they purchased the Primeg waterfall and she consumes it on a regular basis, She has not been back to the hospital for any IV fluids. She has not been on morphine. And she was able to participate in a gymnastics camp and dance on a regular basis. So when I get ready to do my talk, we'll have an opportunity to view a video and the family gives her testimony.
Okay. I need some energy. Okay, I'm here to show you how you can have more energy. Anybody like more energy?
Yeah.
I want to wake you up. How's that? How's that? I love everything that we have with NECAN. And you've heard a lot of the stories yesterday. You heard last night. You'll hear more today about physically how NECAN can help people. Financially, how it can help people, but just the basics. It's all about energy, guys. And we are a mass of energy. Do you realize that? At the cellular level, you have energy. So why are you so tired? Why are we so drained? Why do we feel so yucky? What happened to our energy? If we're trillions of cells with energy, why are we so tired? Well, we're going to show you how you can become more energized with just the simple things with air, water, nutrition, magnetics. And I got to do this quickly. You're going to give me a timer, right? So this is one of my most fun things to do. And because then, oh, I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer to come down up here. Come quickly, somebody, volunteer. Any guests here that haven't seen this before? Yeah, okay. Okay, she's coming. Okay. Alrighty, the lady in orange, come on down. And it's Michelle? Cheryl. Okay, I can't keep them straight, I just met them. And I'll be 71 this month, so if I have to forget things, that's okay, yeah. And I've been doing NECAN for 21 years. So that's a testimony, right? Anyway, so Cheryl's gonna help me here, and what I wanna do is just show you how energy changes. Oh, I know that little dog. So now, because I said we're all energy, and energy affects us negatively and positively. So we're going to talk about, first of all, I need someone to hold this. So, because, how many use a cell phone? And as Dr. Caldwell mentioned yesterday, we have so much around us that are the EMFs of everything, not just a cell phone. But I wanted to show you what that cell phone might do for your energy. Okay, so Cheryl, I want you to just stand facing them. You have any shoulder problems? Oh, good. I'm not going to make you. She looked like a... all right, I'm just going to do a strength test. You resist, okay? Resist. Strong lady. He's got makeup on. Put this on the back. Okay. We just want to see if there's any difference in those thread. Okay. See if there's any difference. You resist. What happened? Wow. Were you resisting? Yeah.
Put it in the bra.
Another bracelet here. All right, same thing. Resist. What happened? Okay. See the difference, guys? Okay. So what if? Thank you. That's just wanted to share with that. Now, just relax. What I want to point out is the whole idea about all these EMFs and how they affect us. There's a phenomenal person called Dr. Deborah, D-E-B-R-A Davis. Google her. She has so much information, great videos, books on disconnect, why cell phones are dangerous for kids, and she talks about, I love her article, she talks about how, wow, they make a cell phone with a baby rattle case, safety rattle, what do you call it, case for the cell phone, and going, wow, that protects it from crashing or biting on it, but it doesn't protect that infant. And you're sitting here doing all
this. But anyway, and then there's a wonderful book on ZAP, Why You Shouldn't Use Your Cell Phone as an Alarm Clock. But 1,268 ways to outsmart the hazards. So there's some things you can do, but just know that we are exposed to a lot. But what if you're wearing something, walking on something, sleeping on something that might help you with that? So that's the negative stuff. Now we're going to talk about income solutions. So we've talked so much about air, water, and all of these different things. So we're going to talk first about nutrition. Randy does a great job of talking how nutrition is so important. So let's see what different types of nutrition do to your body, okay? Anybody used to have a NABS? I found these, I haven't had these in 20 years, but I found these old packs that are probably 30 years old.
That's probably why
Not a lot of nutrition, but they're still here.
Preserved well.
Well, exactly. Oh, this in your hands? And this is one of our Nikan nutritionals, and let's just see what this does. This is for women, okay? What happened? It's a little stronger, huh?
Yeah.
Better than naps?
Yeah.
Okay, resist.
Yeah, told you.
Did you resist? Yeah. Okay. This is what all the doctors will tell you to get. It's highly touted on TV. Oh my gosh, if you listen to this will cure your heart disease, your bone disease, your everything in the world. It's synthetic junk, guys. And most everything you buy is synthetic junk. Your body doesn't absorb anything synthetic. So you're better off taking nothing than taking this. What we're talking about with Nikan's nutritionals are whole foods, organic whole foods. Okay? You can't get that in a bottle in a drugstore. Has anybody ever heard of this little guy called Siaga? All right, this is, this Siaga stands for, it helps you with the cardiac, your immune system, your antioxidants, gastrointestinal, and adaptogenic, which is stress. Unbelievable super fruits. 1 ounce a day gives you 4.7 servings of organic fruit. I wouldn't eat that much fruit. I certainly don't buy that much fruit. But 1 ounce a day. Incredible. Let's see what this is. I can't hear you. See how you like it?
Of course.
Pause just a moment. Check it out is 11. So if you were leaving today and you got to check out, it's 10:49. Okay. So obviously, the neat thing about this is that if you're taking some supplements, you can test your body will tell you what it needs. There are some good supplements out there, a lot of junk. So why not figure out what your body needs, and your body will tell you. So let's go to, well, people have seen this, but the magnetics, there's a few people that are in here. If you walk out on the earth, God's earth, if you walk on your bare feet, you have electrons that come out that help your body and help counteract a lot of things. I tell people all the time, a lot of people will buy our insoles because they're hurting and they're tired, whatever. But you can have more energy, balance, and flexibility even if you don't hurt. Okay? So let's quickly show you that. You ready? Okay, stand behind. All right, let's do that energy test again. See that nurses. Okay, step on those. And we just want to see if there's a difference. Resist. See the difference? So energy change. So put your arms down, stay on the insoles, and behind your back, do this. Remember I said 3 things, energy, balance, and flexibility. Now we're going to look at balance. And I'm just going to push down here and see if I can knock you out now. That's
Didn't knock her off. Come back. Do it again. Whoa. You okay? Yeah. All right. Now, wow, how many people do you know that need a balance pump or have a balance pump? How would you like to prevent that balance problem? So, we've done balance, let's do flexibility. So, stand like you are right now. Put the other arm up straight like so. Put your arm up, and I want you to stand straight. Keep your feet straight. Turn back around. Swing back around this direction. Okay, let's see where you went. Okay, just put your arm down, stay right there. On the same spot. Right there. All right, arm back out. Try that again. Let's see what happens. Whoa! See that, guys? All right, so how would you like to go through the day with more balance, more flexibility, more energy? Wow, what a brainer, no brainer. And when I was introduced to this 22 years ago, I laughed for a year because I was in nursing, never heard of such, blah, blah, blah. A year later, got in, my husband had good experience with knees, and I started looking into it all. But and I was in nursing full time. I was energized. But I wore those every day, slept on my sleep system, got more hours out of my day, didn't catnap it when I had to get home. Anyway, so lots goes on about this. So, good time.
We have 7 minutes.
Okay. So, we've done the energy on the magnet. So this, by the way, there's 3 technologies in these. So there's a lot of energy technologies in the bracelet, in the insoles, and all the different stuff that you'll see. So we've done nutrition, we've done energy products. Let's talk about water. We've heard this wonderful talk by Dawn on water. Wasn't that good? I mean, really, I love the fact that he says have a spring in your house. You've got your own spring in your house. And when I was a kid in Canada, we had loved our spring water, and we loved it. So, all right. Oh, I need someone bring me a glass of tap water, please.
Yeah, tap water.
I'll get one.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm right over there voting.
Oh, yeah, that works.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, put that on back up. Yeah, let's get on. Okay.
He's like kissing me.
We're gonna wear her armor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See how it tastes? Yum, yum, good. Okay. Who's this? Now, we're going to give it yum, yum, good. You don't have to drink at all. All right, that arm back out. He's got his gold. Who's this? So guys, what do you think? You can do this all day long with your most expensive bottled water, your most expensive filtered water. You'll see a difference every time. It's phenomenal, and we could talk like Dawn another hour on water. So how about air? Let's go over here to the air. Anybody believe we have bad air? Who was it talked about? It was Melanie or somebody yesterday talked about how polluted our air is, especially indoors with all the air gassing. So, and then how many people do you know? When I was a kid, I never knew what an inhaler was. I didn't know anybody that was on an inhaler. I certainly, when you think of it today, who teaches? How many kids have inhalers at school? It's just incredible what has changed, but we can't control the environment, unfortunately. But what we need to do is control what happens in our homes and in our offices and in our cars because of all our products. We can influence it. So we're going to just test the air here. What I'd love to do is what Sandra Thornton and Al do. We do it in home. She makes them go outside the door, and they've got a nice grassy backyard. Take a deep breath of the air. Do a strength test, just like we're going to do now. What we're going to do with this indoor air, which is, okay. Lean over this little system here,
and you are going to take 4 or 5 deep breaths. Just take really deep breaths. What this system does is just put it's a highly filtered filtration system, 0.1 micron. That is huge, guys, huge. If you're not filtering your air in your house, your lungs are doing the filtering. And that's why there's so many breathing problems, there's so many issues, and we've got plenty of stories that you'll hear later about this air and what it does, okay? Who's this? Whoa, what do you see? I think that's on. It's on. Okay, so, see the difference? All right, so what do you think about all of this in terms of energy? I'm going to look and see, was there something else I want to do? Oh, here's another neat thing. You're going to hear from Lisa later about the sleep system. And our sleep system is comprised of a mattress pad, comforter, a pillow, and what I love is this is a pillowcase. Okay? It's got technology in it that absorbs your body's energy. So what we're talking about when we're talking about energy, you can have some. Well, no, I'm going to do one more. When we're talking about energy, we're talking about the body's ability to help itself. God created the earth for a reason. With the magnetic field of the earth, the sun's energy, the air's energy. Okay? And we've blocked all that. We're working in these buildings, we sleep and work in concrete, we're walking on concrete, we're not getting what God gave us. And that was the thing that got my attention 22 years ago. I laughed the 21 years ago, I read the article about the earth and how you and those little dogs and our plants. Oh, plant! Where's my plant? Oh, that's what I need to do. I got a plant demonstration. Oh, I'm so glad. I haven't done this in years. In fact, nobody in my group except Lisa, I think, has seen this. This plants, and so my story is that when I realized that plants, animals, and humans couldn't survive without magnetic earth, I went, duh. We were skiing in Colorado, and I went, this makes sense. I love being outside. I feel better when I'm outside, but we block all that. So this is a good one. Plants emit energy. Have you ever heard that people say you need green plants and should have them in your house? You need to talk to them and all that good stuff. Well, let's test this plant now. We're going to see you stand on that end. Okay. I want you to just put your one hand over that. Okay. Put this arm straight out. Okay. We're just going to resist. We don't.
Poor plant's been in our room and it's overwatered. See the difference? Now, icy cold, yucky city water. Poor plant. Poor plant. But I got the plant for $3.50 at Kroger's. I'll bring it back to life. All right.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Energy, guys. It's all about energy. You don't have to worry about how this works. Just know your body's an energy factory. You have energy at the cellular level, but it's blocked. Stress, lack of sleep, lack of hydration, lack of nutrition. All of those things affect us. And Nikan has, and I'm told to stop, Nikan has all the answers. Wow, isn't that wonderful, guys?
I'm a pediatrician, and I've been practicing for about 23 years in the Colonial Heights, Prince George area. I was traditionally trained. medical doctor at Georgetown University. I then came here to Virginia to do my residency, which I completed at VCU in 1996. And then I began traditional practice. I was practicing approximately, 5 to 7 years, and I was practicing exactly as I was taught by the books. Immunizations, everything that traditional medicine had taught me. And I really got very discouraged because after I was noticing the kids would just come back over and over again, sick, even though I was doing what I was taught to do. And so, as I said before, doing things the same way over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And so in 2006, I was able to leave my traditional practice and I started Palo Pediatrics and Wellness Center, and I have not looked back since. I have a pretty large practice. I have a naturopath that works at my office. Myself, I have 2 part-time nurse practitioners and a full-time nurse practitioner, and I have a practice that's over 27,000 patients. And the greatest growth in my practice actually has been in folks that are interested in a more holistic wellness approach to managing their family and their illnesses. So I was really excited when I learned about Nikken because there's a big market for this. People want to be healthy, and they're really tired of the fact that all these prescriptions, all these medications, they don't feel well, they don't have a whole lot of energy, and more importantly, we're just treating symptoms as opposed to getting to the root cause of what the problem is. And so that's what I try to do, is try to understand better why these children are having these problems. And there's no question, as we've mentioned throughout this seminar, that water is not water, food's not food, air is not air, our children aren't sleeping, we're exposed to multiple toxins. And guys, that's the root of the problem, so we've got to deal with those things. So without further ado, let me tell you. As you know, I mentioned before that most of the illnesses that I see in children are chronic illnesses. And 80% of my day, 85% of my day is spent talking about neurodevelopmental issues in children. And I'm quite concerned. So let's talk about how I've actually used these products in the office. I use them with chronic issues, and I also use them with acute cases. I have one video. I don't know if you want me to talk about how I actually got involved in this business. Do you want to know about that? I mean, basically, I was, frustrated with the limitations of traditional medicine and seeing these children over and over again. And so I sought to, try to better understand what these chronic issues were coming from. And as everybody knows, when you first, I went into a Nikken consultant, and I believe everything happens by divine intervention. So I, for myself, after I was so frustrated with the medical industry, I really just prayed about, what am I going to do? I didn't like what I was doing, and I certainly didn't like seeing sick children over and over again, because that's not why I went into pediatrics. I went into pediatrics to help families raise healthy children and see kids thriving, and that was not the case. When I first learned about Magnus, and we all get so excited about Magnus, and we start talking about it incessantly. That's all I was talking about. People thought I was crazy. But you always start with your family. So I'll tell you a little story about my mom. My mom had sleep apnea for over 15 years, and I had sent her the Nikken sleep system. And this was just to get some background on how does Magnus work. I don't believe this. I didn't learn it in medical school, so it can't be true. So suffice it to say, in less than a week, my mother was off of her sleep apnea machine. And I then began to take some mag steps and other products into my office. And everybody that came in there, stand on this Magnus, doing the kinesiology testing, because I love the visual. It's so, it's so impressive. And most people will go, no way, just as excited as you guys are when you've seen what you've seen here throughout the weekend. So anyway, the rest is history. I mean, once you see what these products do and you see how people respond to them, there's no way you cannot share this stuff. So let's do the video first, and then I'll talk about, I only have one video, my other one wasn't working, but I have tons of stories, so I'll just share some stories after we hear this video. This is a young lady that I was talking about a little earlier that has the hemoglobin problem, or the blood disorder that's genetic and causes pain, and was on morphine, and now she's not. This is her video.
Entirely, because doctors to this day still have not given me the reason for why I'm living now. I must give it.
Wow. So how have your symptoms been controlled since using the products? So you started using these products in May, and have you continued to experience some of those same symptoms? And if so, you know, at what level? You have to compare.
Continue to experience them over a couple of months after using it. The problems seem to decrease over time. At first I was having it every 30 minutes. It diminished to maybe once or twice a day. You know, at nighttime, of course, I slept through the night, so I didn't experience anything. I couldn't feel anything. So I believe, you know, it really diminished what was going on with me internally. I just had to feel itself short. I believe, you know, me eating right and drinking the water and having that braces deal. Never taking them off, really got to the time.
Wonderful. No, I remember when we first shared the product with you, in addition to the water and the bracelets, you actually, I let you get a trial of the air. Did you remember that?
Yes, absolutely. I do remember that.
Oh.
And I need one of those. It helped me sleep during the night. It actually did help me a lot.
Excellent. And just lastly, I would just wanted to ask, what does this really mean for you? I mean, just being introduced to Nikin and knowing that there are some alternative options other than pharmaceuticals, and then just being frustrated and not knowing what's going on, yet you know you're not feeling well and it's impacting your life. So what has this meant to you and your family to kind of regain your health?
Oh my God. Where do I start? It means so much because I got to just talk about my husband for a minute. You know, he was so dedicated and he could show me how to get to all my doctor's appointments. I'm used to taking myself and doing things for myself. Very dependent. But I had to depend on him more, which he was there to make sure that I, you know, got to my doctor's appointments and do whatever I had to do, you know, as far as trying to figure out what was going on. But let me tell you, to get back to me, to be able to do things for myself, drive, I couldn't drive, I couldn't stay in the house by myself for fear of falling. Man, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. I just thank God that I'm where I am today.
Thank you. That was wonderful. So sitting beside Mrs. Trotter, we have Leah Blakes and Tiffany Trotter, who's Leah's mom. And Leah has some challenges, some health challenges. And she had come into the office one day to be treated for some cough and upper respiratory symptoms. And at that time, I think I shared some Nikin products with you. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, she was actually been coughing for maybe over a month. The doctors or hematologists, they say, well, you know, she was admitted to the hospital. It's probably the air, it's probably dry air. So I decided to bring her in to follow up. And so we decided to maybe try, well, the first solution that you provided was Nikin. So you said, well, just try some water. There was like one of the products that you put her on her back and let her lay on her back. And she seemed to be very energetic after she had drank that first cup of water. So we took some home and I noticed the difference. So I decided to go ahead and purchase a bracelet for her, the Nikin bracelet, whereas the magnetic therapy there. And so I noticed the change in her energy. So I went ahead and decided to get the water system. And since, I believe it's been since March, she's been able to, hasn't had any trouble, hasn't had much trouble at all, like her pain. And that was because she has like a sickle cell anemia. So she hasn't had any pain, hasn't been admitted in anything like that.
And can you just mention that she was in and out of the hospital every week.
Since she's been drinking water, she's not been in the hospital since.
Right. Now, she also had to have medication to control pain also, correct?
Right.
Are you having to use that now?
I haven't used any of the medications. She was actually taking 3. Sometimes she would alternate between the 3 because it would work. Even with the 3 medications, she still had pain. It would be back in the nursing home in the middle of the night because, of course, it's worse at night. Tried all the heating pads and all that good stuff. And she, nothing seemed to help. We were back and they knew who we were and they immediately got us a place in the nursing home. But we, at least like 1 to 3, every 1 to 3 weeks, the minimum for every 1 week. Anywhere between those 2, 1 to 3 weeks.
Wonderful. So, it makes sense because, of course, what I know from a medical standpoint is that sickle cell disease is treated with hydration and pain management. So we have a water that actually hydrates at like 100 times the rate because the molecules are so small that they are able to penetrate into the cell quickly. It would just stand to reason that children with this kind of challenge would benefit. Plus, not to even mention that the energy part of it, the whole magnetic part of it. So can you tell me, like, how has this changed the quality of your life and Leah's life?
Well, we're able to rest throughout the night, and we are able to kind of have more quality in life as far as like maybe she wants to go and have fun. Like a lot of kids like to run around and music parks and like little parks. At one point, she would just go home and lay down when she get at the top of the steps. Haven't seen her do that. She's able to attend like camp. She's done like a dance, very intense dance camp. She does gymnastics. She's very active now. She doesn't have to miss school. She was actually missing a lot of school. She still did good, stayed on top of everything. She ended very strong with her grades, but it gives her more time to be a kid. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what we want to say. So Leah, how old are you, sweetheart? 6. And Mommy told me that you had a really great summer this year. Can you tell me what you were able to do this year? This summer, the camp that you went to? Dance camp? Can you show us one of your moves? How about that split? Can you show us how flexible you are? Do that split right quick. You can do it. Ooh, great! That's so good. Thank you, Leah. You're quite a dancer. And it's so exciting that she can be flexible without any discomfort. That's what I love to do as a pediatrician. And it's something that's simple. I mean, we've got to continue this year. That's okay. I apologize because this is a real exciting story. So I send the little girl home with a gallon of this pine water. Well, she spends a lot of time with her grandparents, and that was the grandmother that was sitting there on the couch. Unbeknownst to me, the grandmother started drinking the water. Now, the grandmother had been out of work for 3 months. She travels to Northern Virginia. She works in the federal government somewhere. Anyway, she had been out of work because she had been having these syncopal episodes. And over a period of 3 or more months, she had been worked up by every doctor. She told me she had an MRI, CT. She actually even started some hormone replacement. She was on a commercial for hormone replacement, but nothing resolved her symptoms. She started drinking the water. I gave it to her for the baby, but she started drinking it, and she told me that, well, she restored it. So let me just tell you, when she called and they asked me to, that they told me that they wanted to order the water system, I was like, no, you gotta let me come over there and show you all of what we got. So I went over to the house, I did a wellness preview, and she purchased some additional products, and she is back to work now. The grandmother is back to work. She did the air. She actually just slept with the back, like under her head, I believe. She didn't purchase that sleep system yet, but I'm working on them for that. They do have the Pine water system. I lengthened the air, and honestly, I mean, this stuff is life-changing. Okay, but before I do that, so the first thing, when they were in the office that day that I gave the water, I lent the mother of Leah a bracelet. And she told me that her grandmother had just had a stroke, or it maybe not, it wasn't a recent stroke, but anyway, she was unable to lift her arm. She put the bracelet on the grandmother's arm, and now she's able to lift the arm after the stroke. So I sent a particle for the baby, and everybody in the family benefited from it in some way or another. And you know what's more exciting about that? The grandparents, of course, this is the first time they've ever witnessed, you know, what sickle cell does in terms of the decrease in the quality of life. And so obviously they're very concerned about their granddaughter, and they started a nonprofit organization for sickle cell awareness following that testimony. I think everybody's heard that story. But anyway.
You got new people.
Oh, okay. So I have a lot of children that I treat with a respiratory condition that causes wheezing and difficulty breathing. We talked about the quality of the air being so poor. This young lady was 6 years old. She had been on 5 medications. She had respiratory arrest 3 times. She went to the local hospital. She had to be intubated and med-flighted 3 times to VCU hospital, where she stayed in the ICU for 3 to 5 days. After the last episode of the respiratory arrest, she came back for a follow-up visit and basically said, Dr. Caldwell, I can't do this anymore. She, you know, during one of the episodes, she hears the EMTs wheeling her baby down the corridor of the hospital saying, we're losing her, we're losing her. And, you know, that just really got to me. I was in tears. So anyway, I asked her to allow me to study her. And she said, do anything you can do, just, you know, help me in my baby's health. So she allowed me to work with her, and I got the air purifier. I also put her on the Niken cocoon, which has all 3 energy technologies. We put a necklace around her neck and also the power chip that she wears. What else? We did some jade green signs, I think, initially. At any rate, that was over 2 years ago. She's not been back in the hospital for any asthma exacerbation. She's not even been to my office for an asthma exacerbation. I mean, it's just life-changing. I don't know what more to say about that. It's just, you know, I cannot not share these products with families when you see this kind of life change and it's saving lives. In fact, one of the episodes that she had with the respiratory arrest, she arrived in the ICU and her pH was 7.0. You know how we talk about acidity and how it negatively impacts our health? Well, this little girl took a hit to her kidneys and to her brain. Another episode, she may not have been here. So I continue to share. I can tell you story after story, I have more, but maybe the next event.
Give Melanie another hand. Thank you. Do you think it may take a little bit of courage for her to step out of the norm in the medical world to do what she's doing?
Yes.
Obviously, give her another hand for some courage. Do you think it may take us a little courage next time we see somebody that needs something?
Yes.
Step out of our comfort zone
Yeah.
and to share it with that one person who may never hear this from anybody else unless you step up and make that courageous choice to share. All in favor say aye?
Aye.
All right. So I'm supposed to tell you what I usually share in about an hour and a half in 20 minutes. So I'm going to go at light speed here. This here is the Niken Bone Health Pack. It is the most advanced technology for bone health, bone remodeling, bone metabolism, bone rebuilding, bone everything. It is absolutely the most phenomenal thing that I have seen in that category in 22 years in the wellness industry. Why in the world are we worried about bones in the first place? What are some of the challenges that people end up having with their bones? You know what? This is not advancing. David, see if that clicker, it was working. For some reason, it may not be plugged in all the way. Is it there now? Okay, go ahead and stand by it if you would. Just push the advance. Okay, you're going to be doing it a bunch. Is it not moving? All right, hold on. All right, folks, do your bones matter? Yes. People worry about their bones becoming brittle. People worry about this part right here, this, what do you call that stuff? The cartilage disappearing, becoming bone on bone, not being able to go upstairs, not being able to go down the stairs. They worry also about the medications that they're taking for their bones and the challenges that those medications are taking. Are there challenges with arthritis medication?
Yes.
Are there challenges with the pharmaceutical medication for osteoporosis and osteopenia?
Yes.
Yes, bisphosphonates being the most prevalent. Are there challenges with things for inflammation?
Yeah. Yeah.
You may have heard of people on prednisone. My mom was scared to death of it, but it was the only thing that brought about 10% relief to her life for 10 years. Okay? And all of these challenges are very, very real. It's just a small portion of the list that can be linked with those. So, all in favor of finding a solution that does not involve those challenges, say aye. Aye. All right. Why are your bones important anyway? Who cares? They're just sticks inside of you, right?
No.
The challenge with the disease of these bone diseases is that these conditions are often known as silent killers. If you have osteoporosis and osteopenia, many times you may not even know it until it is too late. So what in the world are your bones for anyway? Your bones do a whole lot more than just becoming sticks. They actually affect a whole series of things in your body that can make a huge impact. Yes, they do hold us up. Yes, they give us form. Yes, they let us shake, rattle, and roll, and have a great afternoon on your Sunday evening, or your Saturday evenings as you go out and dance. Your bones are actually a shield and protection. They protect your brain. All in favor of keeping their brain whole, say aye.
Aye.
I just got a text like 2 minutes before I walked up here. My son is, the score is 27-0, and he just got a tackle. So that was good. And I'm grateful that he's got some bone there to help protect all that stuff, okay? Your bones also protect your spinal column. They protect your heart, your lung, your kidneys, all of those types of things. Your bones are a manufacturing facility. They produce some really important stuff, known as what? Have you heard of people who have ever had challenges with their red blood cells?
Yeah.
Okay, all the way, there are a whole series of challenges that can come. One that you've probably heard more frequently than others is you've heard of people that maybe don't have enough of them. They become anemic. Okay? Have you ever heard of your medical practitioners? Right now, your red blood cells are produced where? Your bones. You ever heard of a medical practitioner saying, well, you know what? We should go to work on your bone health metabolism then to see if we can improve your bones so that we then get better and more red blood cells. It would make sense, wouldn't it? But have you ever heard of him doing that? No, and the reason is up to this point we haven't had anything that can make a difference for your bone health metabolism. In addition to your red blood cells being produced in your bones, what else is produced there? Your white blood cells. What are those for? Your immune system. Who likes their immune system to be good and ramped up and just cranking? All in favor say aye. Have you heard of people that have compromised immune systems? Yes? Have you ever heard of a medical practitioner saying, well, in order to work on your immune system, we should work on your bone health metabolism? Oh, well, wouldn't that make sense? It would make sense because that's where it's produced. The reason is that up to this point we haven't had anything that can help with your bone health metabolism until this amazing technology of the Bone Health Pack. Your bones are also a bank. A bank. First off, what do we do at banks? We go to banks, we make, and later on, if the bank still happens to be in business, we can make a. Yeah. We're going to tell a little story about a Frenchman. He has some what? Money, and he wants to use it to do some business in America. But in France, their money is different than over here. In France, they used to call it francs, now they call it what? Euros. So this little Frenchman, he's got to get himself into a little taxi cab and drive himself over to the, and make a, in that bank he's going to make a what? And later on, he can withdraw that money, this time in this different form with certain metabolic markers so it can be recognized in this economy known as the US of A. This time that money is going to be released with certain markers so that we can recognize it as dollars. We go, oh, I know what that is, and I know what to do with it. And you can now use that money to do business in America. Fair enough? Okay. Well, let's now go to calcium. Does your body know what to do with calcium? No. First, it must be transported in a little taxi cab to get to what? The bone bank. Say it. Bone bank.
Bone bank.
Okay. Where this calcium is what? Deposited. Where it's going to stay there for a number of years and become metabolized and released in a way with certain biological markers so that your body now knows what to do and how to spend it in different areas within this metabolism in your body. Fair enough? So what type of calcium does your body know how to use? Dietary calcium or bone metabolized calcium? Which one? Bone metabolized calcium. So what does your body then do with that bone metabolized calcium? All in favor of having a healthy brain, say aye.
Aye.
All who know someone else who does not have a healthy brain, say aye.
Aye.
Wow, you know, maintaining a healthy brain, what does that have to do with your bones? Well, your brain requires roughly 100 milligrams every single day of bone calcium just to make it function. And when we don't get enough of that bone health metabolism, that bone metabolized calcium, then we can have some deficiencies that take place. You also see in that past picture nerves. Every nerve impulse requires what? What kind of calcium? Bone calcium. Okay, next we have someone's heart here. Large muscle in the body. Every single contraction of that requires what? Bone metabolized calcium. I had a buddy, atrial fibrillation. He's in his early 40s, 2 kids left. His father had died from that condition. And he said, what do I do? I said, well, we've had some people share some really interesting things with this, strangely enough, bone health pack. I don't know if I can help you, but I do know it won't hurt you. Why don't you give it a whirl? 2 months later, no more need for any medication for that challenge. Kind of an interesting side effect that we have with that bone health pack. Now, is that a guarantee for everybody? No, but we've had a lot of people that have had some really neat things take place. Would you click and get rid of that notification on the top for me? Okay. Oh, what about kidneys? Who likes their kidneys? Say aye. Your kidneys, your liver, your digestive tract, 600 to 800 milligrams of bone health calcium required every single day just to make it tick. Your digestive tract, we spoke of that. Your muscles, we spoke of that. Anybody know anybody that gets some pain? Well, that can be linked with, and a lot of cramping and so forth, challenges of not getting enough. What kind of calcium? Bone metabolized calcium. So, we're going to talk about how you get bones. You get 10 sets in the average lifetime. 5 of those come before the age of 20. So before the age of 20, how often are you getting new bones? Every what? 4 years. Someone comes in the middle of the night, cuts you open, pulls the old ones out, gives you a new set. Everything's happy-dory, right? Now, we're going to talk about how that works. But one of the challenges is if 5 of those sets are used up by the age of 20, how many sets are used up until 70? You got like 5 more to go, 1 every decade. Something's changed, something's different there. We're going to talk about how that happens and why that may be. On the top of this slide, you notice a character in our drama, in our plot. This particular character I call Pac-Man. Many of you have had the great opportunity of playing that phenomenal video game. Anybody played that phenomenal video game? Wasted wonderful hours, you know, watching this little yellow thing go across and eat, munch, munch, munch. Well, you have a cell in your body that eats, munch, 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 your old brittle calcium in your bones. Who here thinks it's great having a cell going around, eat, munch, munch, munch at your bones? It's a trick question. It's a great thing. Because this cell is eating away at your old, brittle bone. All in favor of getting rid of the old, brittle parts of your bone, say aye. Okay, like a remodeling crew coming in, getting rid of an old section of wall. We're not going to use that wall, we're going to put up another one. Make sense? So Pac-Man, he's kind of a cool dude because he doesn't just eat. In the second picture, you will see that he eats and he also will distribute. Okay? He takes that stuff released from the bone and distributes it, and that's how your body gets calcium to feed that, and your liver, and your kidneys, and your digestive tract, all those things. Fair enough? All right. There's a really interesting study. Professor Gerard Carcenti of the University of Virginia did a study involving osteocalcin, one of the substances released in this picture, and how that substance, when there's enough of it, helps to stimulate the pancreas to produce sufficient amounts of insulin. Who would be worried about that? It also helps to make all the other cells more sensitive to the insulin being produced. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if that might be a benefit to things beyond the rats that the experiment was done on. Do you know any other creatures that might benefit from insulin and less insulin resistance? I wonder. So the third slide here talks about another character. This character is known as Surfer Dude. Surfer Dude goes along, slides along that surface of the bone until he finds a divot. When he finds the divot, he calls all his buddies over. He says, "Hey guys, come on over here. Let's build new bone." So Pac-Man, his job is to what? Eat and distribute. Surfer Dude's job is to build new bone. So someone who has osteoporosis is not having enough of this happen, and this is happening way too fast. Okay? All right, moving ahead at lightning speed, we have 12 million Americans with osteoporosis, 40 million with osteopenia, and there's 66 million with arthritic type challenges, joint issues. We have massive challenges even in our teenage youth, 25% decrease in their bone density just over one generation before. We have children that aren't exercising as much, they're not getting as much sunshine, they're not getting proper nutrition, and they're having a whole heck of a lot more soda pop. Now, of course, those conditions are not happening amongst the adults, right? We're going to think back to your parents or grandparents, and is the amount of consumption of soft drinks that your children has different than what it was for your parents or grandparents? Dramatically. And those soft drinks have phosphoric acid in it. And what happens is it goes and makes the blood more acidic. In order to balance that pH out, your blood must rob something to buffer this acidic challenge. And what does it get to help buffer the acidic challenge? Calcium found where? In that bank. So now we're going to deplete that bone bank every time we drink a soda pop to help refill that. Understood? All right. Normal bone, thinning bone, super thin bone. Normal bone, osteopenia, osteoporosis. Both of these are a risk of fracture. Normal skeleton. A little bit of deformity, but it's okay. I can learn to live with it. Oops, I waited too long. I'm now missing 8 inches worth of vertebrae through compression fractures. I may even be bent all the way over like this and stuck in this position. Is this a good time to show up to your doctor and say, I think I need some help? Not fair to your doc, folks. Height loss, impingement of nerves, which may cause some pain. It may not, though. You may not even know that there are challenges going on, and the nerves aren't able to send signals to the organs, and the organs aren't able to send signals back, and decreased organ function, both because of lack of space. We used to have a lot of space for those organs to function in, not much space for it to happen there. Decreased mobility, fear of activity. Men, yes, you are not invincible. You too can have arthritic challenges. You too are prone to osteoporosis and osteopenia. No calcium and calcium supplementation and extra calcium in your yogurt and extra calcium in your milk and extra calcium in your Twinkie are not going to solve the problem. Milk is not going to solve the problem. We consume more dairy than any other nation, more per capita, and yet we lead the world in degenerative bone diseases. Is milk solving the problem? No. And no, calcium with extra magnesium is not going to solve the problem. Calcium with extra boron is not going to solve the problem. Calcium with extra phosphorus and magnesium in the proper ratios is not going to solve the problem. Calcium with a microcrystalline calcium is not going to solve the problem. Calcium citrate is not going to solve the problem. Okay. Have you heard these stories before? Every 5 years, a new calcium formulation comes along, and you're led to believe that that's going to solve all your bone health problems. In fact, many times what ends up happening is that doesn't get absorbed, it doesn't get secreted, ends up causing some really serious challenges because of excess calcium. We are lacking taxi cabs to get it where it needs to go. People end up with kidney stones, people end up with hardening of the arteries, a whole series of challenges from calcium overload. So all in favor of solving the problem naturally. Sometimes naturally isn't all we think we're trying to solve it naturally here by taking our calcium supplements. But sometimes those aren't even the right answers. All in favor of solving it naturally and effectively, say aye. Okay. So here's just a quick quote from the Annals of Internal Medicine. Even calcium with vitamin D turns out to not be the solution. Consumer Reports weighs in and says, you know what? You're scared, I get it. But your doctor is recommending a class of drugs. Sorry, that E needs to go in the end there. Recommending a class of drugs called bisphosphonates. They're not solving the problem. In fact, the risk for sudden fractures and osteonecrosis or dead jaw is so high that we recommend that you don't even take that drug. Right? Consumer Reports is weighing in on this. Risk from osteoporosis drugs. Disabling pain, but it's okay. We can prescribe painkillers. Difficulty swallowing, heartburn, it's okay because we can give you medication for your heartburn, which cover up the burning. But it's okay. The ongoing inflammation of your esophagus is okay, and it will cause esophageal cancer, but we have treatment for that too, right? Mental irritability, it's okay. We have happy pills. You may commit suicide while being on them, but at least you'll be happy doing it. Chest pain, it's okay. Seizures, it's okay. We have pills for that too. And blood clotting, oh, we will thin your blood if you've got that problem. We can go on and on and on with the side effects and the train of extra medications that it can add. Understood? I'm sorry to give you this just before lunch, but this is a very real phenomenon, and I really don't think that extra dentures are going to help fix this. Okay? Very first bone seminar, actually the second bone seminar I gave, a gal said, yeah, it is real, come and look. And then they get these sores and they don't close up. There's just some crazy stuff that goes on. The dental schools are teaching their dentists, do not do these procedures when they're on these medications. People with loose teeth. I can't tell you there were people who said, I got on the bone health pack and my teeth aren't loose anymore. We can go with just some crazy things that take place. All in favor of not having medication, say aye. Aye. Okay. What if there was a solution that was safe? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. So there are some things you need to be aware of. Taking this bone health pack does not allow you to become a permanent couch potato. You still need to be active. You should be getting out and walking. You should do things to help build bones. That is really important. The medications, they will tell you, are good for many things, your blood pressure, all those types of things. We have heart medications, all those types of things. People say, make it so I don't experience my problems with my blood pressure. I don't experience my problems with my atrial fibrillation. I don't experience problems with my asthma. But the truth of the matter is these medications are acidic. And every time you take one of them, it robs what from your bones to balance out the pH? Calcium. So if you are on medications, be aware that that is a not good lifestyle choice, okay? And is not good for the bones. Weight issues. Can you be too heavy? Yes. Extra pressure on the joints. Bad news for those joints. Can you be too light? Hollywood will tell you otherwise. But those people who are too light may not have enough weight-bearing activity on those bones, or they may be undernourished. We don't know the exact reasons. There are a lot of thoughts on there. Acidic lifestyles. Our acidic lifestyles involve our white flour, our white sugar, possibly our red meats, lots of alcohol, lots of medications, pollution. All those things make us more and more acidic. Fair enough? So if you want a great rule of thumb for your grocery store, if it's laid out just like this, aisles and rows and everything, go around all the aisles and rows and put a bunch of yellow caution tape, and don't go inside the yellow caution tape. Always shop at the outside of the yellow caution tape at your grocery store. The fresh things are on the outer aisles. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So soy, bad for the bones. Thyroid issues, bad for your bones. Okay, make sure you get that addressed when you are trying to get help. In fact, of thousands of bone scans that we've done, the only people that I've seen that were having a consistent, I know that we're going to have to work through this, is if we're not getting results with our bone health pack, the very first question I ask people is, have you had your thyroid checked? You've got to get that undergoing an imbalance. Age is a major challenge, they say, for your bone health, to which I say hogwash. Because I've had 17-year-olds with the bones of 70-year-olds, and the bones of 70-year-olds with the bones that have the bones of 17-year-olds. Am I making sense? In fact, to all this I say hogwash because I had a gal who ran marathons, was a cheerleader, never touched the medications, didn't have weight issues. She cooked from scratch for her 8 kids, no soy, and she was 35 years old and had 5 fractures that year. What was the time on there? Thank you. So, meet the solution. This is a taxi cab to get your passenger through the gut. This is the taxi cab to get your passengers into and out of the bone. Got it? Okay. This is a pack. They're designed to work together as a team. You're familiar with the Avengers? They can do things as a team that they're not going to be able to be successful at on their own. Understood? This is a team to help out with your bone health issues. This is the doc behind it. You can look at some of the qualifications there. It is a very short list of a 5-page resume that I saw, just to help you know that this is not some dude with a chem lab in his garage with some sort of a great nifty idea. This is a man who knows what he's talking about, some 30 years worth of research in lactoferrin technology. I'm going to zoom through this stuff so that we can actually end on time. Great for the synovial area. Great and helpful for integrity of cartilage. I've got people that can go up and down stairs again that weren't going up and down stairs before. It is natural. This is an update you may not be aware of. Dr. Naidu hit a dog on the freeway.
My dog's on it.
Dr. Naidu hit a dog on the freeway. The dog broke a bone. And he thought, I wonder if we can formulate this in a way that it will be actively transported and do good for animals as well. So we went to work on that. This is not our product, okay? But it has the same technology we have, just formulated with transport mechanisms for dogs. Understood?
Yeah.
There's a study that was done on this that they can't do on people. Because they're able to take the dogs and they're able to give them all the exact same food. People wouldn't stand for that. Right? They give them all the exact same food, and they immobilized them. These were dogs that all had fractures, and they recovered in less than a third of the time. All in favor of bones healing faster, say aye.
Aye.
Huge, huge benefits. Now, their product has a maintenance formula. So does ours. The Bone Health Pack comes in a maintenance version. If you want a therapeutic version, you're going to have to take more of the osteodents. Do you understand? So these animals get on a therapeutic dose so that they are getting themselves better, and then they maintain good health by staying on a maintenance dosage. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just a whole series of studies that say we can do what nobody else can. Osteoporosis International, world's most respected medical journal in regards to osteoporosis. Amazing, amazing studies talking about that we would return bone production to the way it was when you were 20. New bone. How many people that like a whole new set of bones within a 4-year period? All in favor, say aye. Okay. This is a study saying that we can kick inflammation in the pants. Okay. Just do amazing things. We fight inflammation. The natural things in the body are elevated, and the things that cause inflammation are decreased. We have patents, 18 years with exclusive distribution rights. We have lactoferrin doing amazing, amazing things. Transportation of minerals, a gatekeeper for it. Cellular communicator, transport mechanism. Antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antiparasitic, used in lots and lots of different ways. We've seen changes even for fertility. There's anti-cancer research with this stuff. Google lactoferrin and cancer. You'll be blown away with what's going on. I love this stuff because it saved my gums. Weird thing. We got lactoferrin. I had no idea why I was taking it. But I got the launch pack and I was told it was good stuff, so I took the stuff. Showed up with a periodontist 3 months later, and the lady would give me an absolutely massive, nasty, you're going to lose all of your teeth and be, anyway, she gave me the lecture because my gums had been bad. She says, you've got to floss. Well, I brush and I brush and I brush and I brush, but I'm not flossing. Paris, close your ears. Okay. I might floss once, twice, every 6 months. It's just not there. I don't know why I don't floss. It was never a habit that was established when I was young. I don't floss. And every time I came, she'd do the little pokey thing all around my gums, and they would bleed, and they would hurt, and she would say, urine. Anyway. So this time, she came around, she did a little pokey thing, and it didn't hurt. And it wasn't swallowing blood.
No, it's perfect.
And she said, wow, my lecture must have worked last time.
You feel small.
And I went, well, actually, I'm not flossing. She said, you're kidding. What did you do? I had no idea. Okay, I don't know anything different with my teeth. It was 5 years later when I saw a study that was talking about how lactoferrin is huge for periodontal disease because of all the things it does to get rid of, regulate, balance bacteria and so forth. Huge, huge changes in those categories. Study with mice, on that bone, marrow challenges, 13 days later. Wow, isn't that cool? All think that's cool, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, a chart that says you can mess around with calcium, vitamin D, glucosamine, chondroitin, isoflavones, drugs, hormones, and they can do a few good things. Who knows all the bad things they're doing? Or you can take the bone health pack and get all the good results. All the good results, say aye. Aye. The bone health pack, first released, $173. That's cheap. Very cheap, considering the cost of the medications for bone health. Then they reduce the cost. All in favor of reduced cost, say aye. Aye. And since you know this stuff is good, you're probably going to want to get yourself on auto ship, and you can get it for even less. As a customer, you can get this for $77. That's $100 cheaper than it was 2 years ago. All in favor of $100 cheaper, say aye. Aye. So no one gets the whine. I can't believe it costs so much money. It doesn't. This stuff will transform your life. And if you're worried about the cost still, then go out and get 5 other people excited about this stuff, and they take it. And if you have 5 other people taking it, yours is paid for, including the tax and shipping. There's no excuse not to be on this stuff. Understood?
Understood.
Okay. So I believe we have an absolutely awesome testimonial right now about this. So I'll turn this back over to Kimball.
And I'm the testimonial. I come from a family of long livers, but really bad osteoporosis. I have an aunt who lived to be 98. At 87, she went back and got a lens transplant so that she could get her driver's license again. But Aunt Mamie started breaking bones when she was 66 years old, and between 96 and 98. She had to play bridge on Saturday nights from the bed. True story. She never gave it up. But she was bedridden because every time she sneezed, she broke a bone. Well, I plan to live to be 110. I have a bunch of you will be there with me. And I don't want to break bones. And I guess the first time that I had a bone scan done, I was already in osteopenia, and that was about a year or two before this came out. And I went on the bone health study, and now I'm in the green. I don't have it. I'm going to live to be 110 with healthy bones. So, you know, this is a product that every woman in here needs, and probably most of the men as well. So now we're going to learn about how important sleep is, and we are the most sleep-deprived nation in the world. So Lisa's going to share some great news with us.
But I don't need to tell you what's going on with sleep. How many of you did not sleep well before you got into NECAN? Okay. This is a cover story from Newsweek in 2015. Are you feeling cranky? Are you all bushed? I want to know why. We used to get plenty of sleep. Historians thought that something significantly has changed our sleep, and it has. In 1916, the American Cancer Society asked 1 million people how much sleep were they getting, and the typical answer was 8 hours. Today, that number has fallen to 6.7 hours, with a decrease of more than 15% in a lifetime. The scientists in the CBS 60-minute two-part series called The Science of Sleep are finding that we may be putting ourselves in a perilous situation. According to the National Sleep Foundation, there are over 100,000 highway accidents each year related to sleep deprivation, 1,550 deaths each year related to that, and 45 billion annually in losses traceable to poor sleep. Modern technology seems to be particularly adept in messing with our sleep. Would you not agree with that? How many of you are on your cell phones, right, and you're in bed? Now, you're not going to raise your hand, are you? Okay. And it's certainly a large part of our problem. Blue lights actually drastically suppress the production of melatonin. And we know that's an important hormone in helping us sleep. But the bigger problem might be that we've created and now live in a world where stimulation doesn't stop. Agree? When the sun goes down and it's making us all addicts. Research shows that every time we check our email, Twitter feed, or Facebook timeline and find a new piece of information, we get a shot of dopamine. What's that? Well, that's the happy hormone. That's the chemical, it's a chemical in our brains to release and to stimulate pleasure. We eventually associate text, Twitter, and Facebook with the promise of instant gratification. Melatonin, yes. Healthy day, healthy night. By the way, sleep is the summation of your day. What did you do today to get good sleep tonight? I want you to think about that. By the way, my students have to keep a diary. They hate me for 5 weeks. It's a 6-week class. And they have to write down everything except going to the bathroom. Melatonin is a critical sleep aid. The hormone-like neurotransmitter is closely linked to the circadian rhythms that govern our sleep-wake cycles. And it acts like a powerful antioxidant and repair hormone. Melatonin is mainly produced in the pineal gland in response to darkness, which is why we shouldn't bathe in light before bed or use any techie gadgets. In fact, it's important to block out all that light in your bedroom, such as the clocks, night lights, outside street lights. I do suggest blackout curtains. You'll likely notice a difference in sleep quality the next morning. Yeah, how many can, I forgot what picture it was, sorry, can relate to this. But in the 24/7 culture of our modern world, an increasing number of people report routine reduced quality of sleep, and severe studies have correlated sleep deprivation with weight gain. The underlying causes increased obesity risk from sleep disruption is unclear, but it may relate to changes in our appetite, metabolism, motivation, physical activity, or a combination of these factors. Dr. Christian Bennett from Uppsala University, Sweden, and his group have conducted a number of human studies to investigate how sleep loss may affect energy metabolism. These human studies have measured and imaged behavioral, physiological, and biochemical responses to food following acute sleep deprivation. The behavioral data revealed that metabolically healthy, sleep-deprived human subjects prefer larger portions of food, seek more calories, exhibit signs of increased food-related impulsivity, experience more pleasure from food, and expend less energy. Next slide. So getting a restful night's sleep is not only the amount of time we spend in bed, it's also related to how well we sleep, just like Goldilocks. Some say their beds are too soft, they're too hard. We're all striving to find the bed that's just right. Memory foam mattresses have recently become popular in a way to achieve this comfort. They have a few advantages, such as molding and contouring. However, these memory foam mattresses have a few disadvantages. For example, they have a gassing off period, which occurs after opening the box from the store. It can take about a week for the gases to escape. For some consumers, this gas is nothing more than a mild irritant. But for others, the gassing off results in headaches, nausea, eye and throat irritation, sweating, sleepiness, and asthma. It is suggested that the gassing off can be reduced when using an organic mattress or mattress topper. Naturally produced Dunlop latex, which comes from Havia milk, the sap of the rubber tree, harvested in Indonesia, is the primary material used in this type of foam. The rubber plantations that supply the raw material are ecologically friendly, and the plantations were required to ensure acceptable working conditions with child labor prohibited. Guess what? Beacon's mattress topper and pillow uses the Dunlop latex. Next slide. Can magnets help us with insomnia? Probably so. There is actually a study done, a static magnetic therapy treatment for insomnia in 2008. Yao Shi and Fang Sai, professors at the School of Medicine, the University of California, Irvine. Some of you may know what that is all about, since we can actually partner with this university. In this study, the authors report the positive preliminary results of insomnia treatment using pillows with embedded magnets, magnetic insoles, and tri-phase bracelets. The analysis is based on objective actiograph and polysomnographic data, as a theory of accelerated transition from wakefulness to sleep is proposed to explain the process of insomnia relief through low-strength static magnetic fields. And it was a very, very small study. 2 participants receiving the magnetic therapy used pillows embedded with static magnets, magnetic insoles, and the tri-phase bracelets. They demonstrated a significant improvement in sleep. Can you imagine what the results might have been if they had used the Niken sleep system? Excellent. So what's the answer? Making sure I have the right slide. Niken takes a holistic approach to healthy sleep, keeping the body in balance by addressing these major aspects of living. You may have heard about some of these today. Living, which is sleep, water, food, light, and air. When we have these areas in balance, sleep is easier to obtain. After all, sleep is the summation of our day. And what did you do today to get good sleep tonight? Excellent. Well, that's where Niken comes in, of course. We have the Kinko sleep system. How many of you actually have slept on the Kinko system? Wow, that's incredible. It's scientifically designed to increase relaxation and support a variety of physical, mental functions for restful and restorative sleep. It contains or combines the Niken Nature Rest topper with the Kinko comforter and Kinko Nature Rest custom pillow. Each component contains advanced technology designed to improve sleep quality. And that's it. I do have someone else coming up, but I also had a testimonial. I'll do that at the end.
Go to slide 3.
Slide 3.
Yes, please. Okay, 2 years ago, we were at an international Niken convention, and Ursula Dow introduced us to biopausal reflexograph. And it shows us the way body, no, it shows us how the body, it shows us how the body works as nature intended. It measures your body energy. So those of us who use these products, we knew how we feel when we were using them, but we didn't know what was going on inside of us. Well, now we do. Next slide. So she uses a device that is able to translate the interference that the body has experienced from stress electrically, and how the technology and magnetics of Niken can immediately calm the system down. So let's look at these charts. Notice on the graph the squiggly lines, the red, and see the white area in our head is showing stress. The blue area is showing extreme anxiety. The yellow area is showing the in her arms, legs, and stomach is showing that she is she's that she's in low energy. So the next slide. This was before she went on. That was before she went on the sleep system. This is after she went on the sleep system. I want you to see that the lines are almost perfectly straight. That the notice that the blue is almost predominant throughout her body.
This is after one night on the sleep system. You want to see what happened? See what perfect sleep looks like? Next slide. Perfect sleep, the lines are totally straight. It's totally green, and the body's totally calm and in harmony. And this is what the sleep system does. These are what the products are inside of our sleep system, which is what Lisa said. So who here would like to have the results of perfect sleep?
I do, and I do.
And we have a testimony.
Matter of fact, this lady was here yesterday, and I allowed her to borrow first the sleep system. So that entails the mattress topper, the comforter, and the pillow while she was on vacation. She said she'd had back, neck, and hip problems since her accident in 2004, and then she was hit again, trying to recover from this first injury. She had a dislocated disc, hyperextended her right leg from her hip when trying to recover from that first accident, and she was so scared she was going to slide into the car in front of her. She said she's had years of physical therapy, electric treatments, absolutely useless and expensive, she said, touch therapy, 2 back specialists, and she still sees a chiropractor 3 times a month, or usually at least once a week. And all she said that she's realizing now is that it's coming from a sciatic nerve problem, and she's had that for years. And she said it's like a horrible headache all day and night, just weeks at a time, over and over, suffering from this. And she ended up, actually her husband ended up, he was so excited to hear her results from sleeping on the sleep system that he bought her the mattress pad and pillow and put it on her bed. So when she went back last night, she slept on it for the first time since she's been home. She said, Lisa, I slept from 10 p.m. to 7:11 in the morning. Wow. This never happens. She's usually getting up 3 or 4 times a night. She'll go ahead and eat. I always tell people, if you're going to get up and stay up during the night, make sure you do eat, because you've used up all those resources that you had during the day with food. But she would keep getting up in the middle of the night, and she would just start to do her work because she was already up. She said it was just amazing. She says, I was thinking about sleeping in, and remembered she had 10 o'clock appointment.